still sound crystal clear to me.
You started lagging a bit for me on TS.
Did I? Maybe it was me then. I've been having these weird issues, but we are back here. Sorry about that, folks. Things should reset. I did take a different Twitch server. Maybe it was on my end, but it did not automatically reconnect, and it seems switching to a different Twitch server has cured my woes here, as everything is back online. So again, I do apologize. Very frustrating indeed. And we missed the tail end of your analysis about Slark, but I think we got at least a little bit of it. We have seen Loda play Slark to a great degree of success previously in Starladder Season 8. Over the past few days, he's done really well. We've seen Slark in the safe lane, in that one position, as well as in the off lane as a solo long lane off laner, and he's flourished in both cases. Every time I see him in the long lane, I think to myself, oh no, he's not going to get that snowball momentum he needs to carry on. And so far, in the little bit of anecdotal experience I have, that hasn't really been the case. He fares well in that off lane just because he's so slippery. He's so hard to lock down, and that pounce does make for a pretty easy escape mechanism. So we'll see. I'm curious how the Retry are going to choose to lane him, though, because that is one thing that has not been set in stone yet with a new pick.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe Slark has also been a pretty high priority pick. I've seen a couple of drafts. I believe was it Vici Gaming have been playing ROTK on that hero, I think, as well, with success too. So I'm not saying I simply don't know right now in the current position in the game what priority Slark has in the draft, and just having cast 3 games where it wasn't banned or picked, and then going into a game where it's like first pick is, you know, kind of a big switcheroo. But curious to see how it's going to work out, of course. And so far, not too good counters against Slark. I mean, in a sense, Timbersaw is a good hero against him because he's very bursty, but the problem is with Timbersaw that if he kind of gets kited somewhat easily, even though he has the Timber Chain, etc. If you're aware of your movement, you can avoid the Chakram, you can avoid the Timber Chain, and maybe also avoid the Whirling Death, but that one is a little more tricky if he's already on you. But if Slark, in his ultimate form, if he uses the ulti actively and runs around the fight, he can actually kite Timbersaw fairly well. And as a hero like Crystal Maiden, Slark just eats up. It's really that simple. So far, not too hard for Slark, and it's hard for me to position this hero in the game right now, because you were always used to, okay, Slark is a great hero if he snowballs, but then again, you can always counter him with like Gem or with Sentry Wards that you put down in the fight. Right. Now, the new ulti just gives you, it's not invulnerability, because you can still get hit by ground target abilities, but you can't be single targeted. And that really changes the whole concept of the hero, which was why he was removed from Captain's mode for a while, but now he's being experimented with, and yeah. And I'm waiting to get impressed. There is one trump card, and I'm still waiting for a team to pull it out. Faceless Void Ultimate. The Chronosphere will actually reveal the undetectable Slark. That is, I don't know, superior magic. I don't know how the math works out, but it actually reveals Slark. It's, wow, okay. So that is one potential quote-unquote hard counter to Slark, but the argument is, of course, is it worth picking up the Faceless Void into your roster, which no team has been bold enough to try quite yet, but just a little bit of insight there, Synderen. If you see someone grab a Void into a Slark, that could be the reason why. Yeah, that's gonna be... That would be a first, picking a melee carry to counter Slark. That's kind of unusual, but yeah, I mean, why not? I still think it's a possibility for Sigma if they want to. The draft allows it, but at the same time, perhaps not the best game for Void. There's a Rubik who can steal the Chronosphere against his own team. There's a Clockwork who is generally annoying for melee carries to deal with. Yeah. And knowing Sigma, they will be aiming for strong lanes, and that's something Void is not good at. So they already have 4 really strong laners. Mirana, Visage, Crystal Maiden, stereotypical Sigma int picks. Timbersaw for a solo, either mid or off lane, and then the final one will be another strong solo. The Nature's Prophet is still in, which they love to play on Migol, but it's not the easiest Prophet game here, because Clockwork can catch you off guard on the map, Slark catch you off guard on the map, and you're generally vulnerable to early ganks, which Enchantress and Rubik are pretty good at executing. So we'll see. It's still a core pick for Sigma here, I feel, but they might have something else planned as well. Yeah, and I think Storm Spirit may be a mid-hero that these teams will consider. A lot of the other powerful mids have been banned out. Viper, Pugna, Puck, OD, Batrider, even Alchemist, all taken out of the pool here. So if one of these teams doesn't grab Storm Spirit, be maybe a little bit surprised. Could fit in well with this Sigma roster.
The only thing atypical of this Sigma draft is there's no Bane. They love that Bane-Mirana duo, but it hasn't seemed to be working too well for him as of late. And if you can grab Crystal Maiden Visage, well, I can understand why you'd want those supports over the Bane. So I guess I'm not too surprised, but yeah, pretty typical Sigma draft here for sure. And so curious what they're going to grab with their mid here. Only 5 seconds of bonus time left, and it's going to be the Dragon Knight. Nice tanky presence.
This is a little interesting for me because there's actually 2 heroes in the Retry's roster who are pretty good at standing against him solo mid. Clockwork will be a strong solo mid against Dragon Knight, but we can probably expect they won't be doing that. But also Slark actually does fairly well against a lot of melee heroes mid, because once they want to try to farm, you have the Essence Shift, you just hit, you steal their agility, you deal bonus damage because you also steal their strength and 1 point in intellect every time you hit. Obviously you steal 1 of each stat, you gain 3 agility per hit. And Dragon Knight, if he's not careful in that kind of lane, can get caught in a pounce and easily ganked out by Enchantress and or Rubik. And also Slark has the Dark Pact to remove the stun from Dragon Knight if he uses it wisely, so
interesting.
Kind of interesting to see. I love the Lifestealer pick. I think it's very, very good here. Great hero against Timbersaw because the way Timbersaw works is that he builds up armor over time. So the first few hits Lifestealer does actually hit really hard, because Timber has a lot of health but very low armor, so that's good. And then Dragon Knight's like a double-edged sword in a sense, because it's great for Dragon Knight, you pick him to tank, and it's great having high armor against Lifestealer, but at the same time when you're playing Dragon Knight, you're used to be so tanky, and actually Lifestealer can still deal significant damage to you even with your high armor. So it's a little bit so-so how good Dragon Knight is against Lifestealer. I like to say they counter each other in a way, if that makes sense. But apart from that, great pick. He completely destroys Crystal Maiden. He's great against Visage too, who is once again a fragile hero once you get in close. And once a few instances of his Gravekeeper's Cloak are gone, Lifestealer eats this hero for breakfast.
Yeah.
Like one of the few heroes can actually kill a Visage really fast. Mirana, not so good against that one. But apart from that, a pretty solid pickup.
And ironically enough, Bane is that considered one of the big counters to Lifestealer, one of the signature heroes of Sigma in this draft. They're not going to grab him, and of course TR will try and make the smart move to grab a Lifestealer here. So we'll see how it works for him. Lifestealer has really fallen off in popularity, though. He was that go-to carry for so long, and now he just gets ignored the majority of time over the past couple weeks at least. And in the few games that we have seen him recently, at least in Starladder, it really hasn't been too successful. That classic Midas first, let me grab an armlet, just has not been faring nearly as well. So I'm going to be excited to see how TR use this Lifestealer and how they build him, especially whether or not they try and go for an early Midas here.
Yeah, and one thing we actually haven't mentioned just yet is that TR are running a triple melee lineup against the Timbersaw, which could also really backfire hard. I did talk about how Slark can avoid him, and how Lifestealer can hit him down fast really hard, but at the same time Lifestealer, once the rage is over, Timbersaw just shreds this hero. He does so much pure damage, he does extra damage because he's strength with the Whirling Death, and something for TR to be careful of.
Looks like some level 1 engagement happening here. Nope. Sigma will just turn and about face for now. They're going to throw a little bit of harassment. And just going to get a counter ward here instead.
I actually think this sentry might be blocking. It is. I think that blocks the camp, the one No Fear just put down. So they don't have vision of the Enchantress, and this might actually be on purpose, that he counter-warded the ward so they don't have the vision, but at the same time he wants to block the camp so the Radiant can't pull it. This actually makes pretty good sense.
Yep. Lifestealer still going to be under a little bit of pressure here. Pos, Miguel, and Mad going to be a bit aggressive as they do continue to roam about, still looking for a bit of early level 1 action perhaps. And I don't know that they're going to find it. Let's go ahead and introduce our rosters here. Though on the Radiant side, we do have Sigma International. Down at the bottom, it is going to be Paris, a.k.a. Sachka, on the Timbersaw and some solo safe lane action. Fada going to be mid on his Dragon Knight. Mad, a.k.a. the Bucking Mad, going to be on the Crystal Maiden here in the top lane. Going to be joined by Pos on the Visage, and we're going to hold this introduction here as there is going to be some engaging in the jungle. No Fear and E going to be going up against Pos and Mad. Both sides going to poke each other, but neither going to have enough damage to finish off a kill. Last person on Sigma is going to be Miguel on the Mirana here in the top lane. On the side of the Dire in this match, the Retry going to have Nubik in the top lane playing on the Lifestealer. Joining him will be No Fear on the Enchantress in the Dire jungle. Eid going to be on the Rubik here, heading up to that top lane. But, oh, Nubik would have gone down to that Sacred Arrow, been on the mark, but going to be just slightly far to the left. And he will survive, but whew, close call right there.
How cocky is it for him to skill Feast on level 1 here.
Yeah.
Like, holy... If only Sigma knew, they would just be killing him. But I don't think they noticed until... I mean, they see him hitting now, but now he's level 2. But still, that was like... I guess it's because he saw the Crystal Maiden as well as the Visage were moving into the jungle, so he felt like, okay, I have a little bit of one-on-one time against the Mirana, I can afford to skill a Feast level, but it almost cost him his life right there.
Absolutely. So, anyway, on the side of our... Whoa, wait a second here, Nubik, maybe in another little bit of trouble? No? Okay, at least has rage now, so... Yeah. Anyway, Nubik going to be on the Lifestealer, and I did introduce the tops. In the mid, it is going to be Yoki on the Slark. Not familiar with their mid player here. I'm not sure if that's a stand-in. He is not tagged up appropriately, and not familiar with that name in particular. And down to the bottom, last but not least, PGG going to be on the Clockwork here, going up against the solo Timbersaw. So, alright, 2 minutes here. No kills coming out quite yet, although it looks like they are trying to get aggressive up here onto Nubik. They're doing a good job slowing down the farm of the Lifestealer, sitting only 4-1. Mirana already off to a good start, sitting 8-0. And I'm more curious about this mid lane, though. Honestly, Slark versus Dragon Knight. We haven't seen Slark solo mid in Starladder Season 8 quite yet. He's only been in the side lanes, and it seems he's faring pretty well against the Dragon Knight, 9-4, against the 6-1 of Fada.
Yeah, it's a good matchup for Slark, like I said before. Oh, he might actually be trying this. Vada is getting really, really low. He's going to need one more hit, won't get it.
Oof, not going to have it.
That was very close.
Yeah, very close call indeed.
Nice matchup for Slark. Dragon Knight will probably want to farm with his Breathe Fire, and if he doesn't have the mana for a Dragon Tail, Slark can always just pounce in on him and start hitting him, and he will win that fist fight by stealing the stats, also having a Stout Shield, which, okay, Dragon Knight has as well, so they're kind of even on that one. But a good matchup for Slark. He's doing well so far, like you said, but it's really the top lane we have to pay attention to. And what has just happened here is that effectively, TR's Enchantress has managed, or the support duo, I should say, has blocked both of their big spawns with their own sentries. So they can't get a good creep, which is a really big problem, because that was what their top lane was actually banking on, was that, okay, Enchantress can counter jungle, or sorry, counter ward, and then go. Actually, we're going to see a try here on mid from No Fear. Yeah. Come in with a tornado creep. I don't know if this will be enough. It won't.
It doesn't look like it. Yeah, not the best creep for what they wanted to go for here. The Wildling Ripper is going to hang out in the mid lane. Fada will use a Breathe Fire, not going to be able to finish it off. But yeah, basically any other big creep than that, maybe the Thunderclap, maybe the stun would have been enough. But unfortunately, that Tornado just not going to be sufficient here. And now Slark may be in a little bit of a sticky situation. We'll have that pounce, but Fada with the Breathe Fire to finish him off, kind of a mid-air kill. Very nicely done by Fada. A close call. Slark almost surviving that one. But First Blood will come out, and now Dragon Knight, suffice it to say, will conquer and command this mid lane.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing that could happen for TR, because Slark was doing well, they failed the gank, and then Slark died afterwards. So, really great start here for Fada in the mid lane. Unfortunately for TR, not making too much out of it. And once again, have to attribute a lot of the trouble they're having to the fact that Enchantress simply can't get her jungle. This is a big problem, and basically just a misplay from them, because the sentry wards are their own, so they've just misplaced the counter wards so that they block their own spawns, which obviously shouldn't be happening, but mistakes do happen.
No, Nubik, he's going to be in big trouble here. He will burn the Rage, but big commitment here from Sigma. Miguel in a little bit of trouble, will get the Star Call off, and is going to survive to tell the tale. Lifestealer going to get that first-class ticket back to the well. Now Pos, maybe going to take a few tower shots. No, plenty of creeps nearby. The solves come out, and Sigma now going to pull ahead 2-0 here at the 5-minute mark, as they do get a valuable kill on the Lifestealer. I think the scariest part of this match so far here, Synderen, is that Enchantress, as you mentioned, No Fear, still only level 2. May get level 3 right here with the kill of this Mind Stealer. Yeah, that's going to be level 3, but still very, very low on experience.
Yeah, she finally gets her camp, and it's a problem that this obviously happens so late, because the whole flow of the top lane has been disrupted by this. But we haven't talked too much about bottom lane yet, which is pretty much a crush right now by Soxka. He's level 6 on Timbersaw with Arcane Boots, 26-6 against the Clockwork of PGG, which is 12-3. So definitely a big win here for Sigma as well, and fair to say they're simply winning 3 lanes right now. Flat out.
Up in the top now, things may change as Pos going to be in a little bit of trouble here. They are going to be able to get a kill on the Rubik before Visage falls. That makes it at least a 1-for-1. Miguel did save the leap to use defensively, but now Fada going to join the party as he makes his way to the top lane. Breathe Fire going to do a good bit of damage to Nubik here. He doesn't have a Rage. Frostbite comes out. One last auto attack from the Bucking Mad on that Crystal Maiden will make it a 2-for-1 up here in the top lane. Sigma obviously going to come out ahead, now leading 4-1. A little rotation here as Pos does port to the mid lane. Looks like Dragon Knight just going to soak up a little bit of farm up top before he makes a rotation back down. He will use that side shop to grab his power treads. So Sigma off to the races already with a nice 2,000 gold lead,
nice
but
hook shot
whoa,
from PGG mid.
PGG going to connect in, but it may be to his death. Pos going to be able to turn it around again, going to be able to make it a 1-for-1. Slark will be there to finish off the Visage, but that tankiness of that ethereal bird going to prove, well, prove successful there as PGG does hookshot to his death.
Yeah, that Slark pounce was really far off the mark, actually. The hookshot was excellent there from PGG, came in right, and I think the way he played it, he was just expecting that pounce to land, and when it missed, he kind of panicked and didn't have time to go, another pounce? Okay.
That one was a little bit off the mark, too. Yeah, that was...
To be fair, it's actually kind of similar to the one before. These pounces are not on point right now, and now he's going to have to pounce away as well. So, Yoki kind of has to step this up a little bit, and also has to move, I think, because TR, as we said before, they're losing their lanes. And Slark is really that kind of hero who can be a big playmaker and make a comeback for them. And here we go, he's already down at bottom. He moves so fast in the night that the time you're used to having when someone goes missing, you can cut that almost in half because Slark moves so fast. PGG now kind of giving it away though with his very aggressive play, and I think Sochka is going to be just fine here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even TP support coming in.
Stuck inside the cog. Support as well. And that's right, the Timber Chain out, but now they're going to turn it around. Chakram comes. Yoki going to be forced to burn the Shadow Dance. And he will survive, but that gank not going to happen. That did open up a lot of room in the mid. Fada going to be able to finish off that tier 1 tower as his lane was completely open. So that failed gank from TR going to cost him. That will be the first tower kill of the match. Down to the bottom lane. It's not over quite yet. Yoki, he is going to fall. He does venture too far forward. Now PGG going to be in. Will burn some mana from that Crystal Maiden. I don't think they'll have enough to set up a kill. But the valuable target is the one that falls, and of course that is the Slark, the leading farmer for TR. And with him now in the grave, Sigma really starting to pull ahead. Look at that disparity between the mid-heroes on the net worth. 3.8k for the Dragon Knight and only 2.4 for the Slark.
Yeah, and top 3 are on the net worth already on Sigma, of course. They did take a tower, but at the same time, even without that tower, they would still be leading. That just goes to show how much they won all the 3 lanes, really in a big advantage here. What we just saw there is actually a really big problem that TR has, because when I said Slark has to rotate, I forgot to account for the fact that there is a Dragon Knight in the mid lane, so if he moves, and it's obvious, then that mid tower does indeed fall, and that happens. So they didn't even get a trade-off, so the movement from PGG so far to gank the mid lane and get the kill on the Visage was fine, but they're not getting any sort of collateral damage done with it. They're not getting extra farm, they're not locking down any enemy heroes. They've just got 2 support kills on the Visage, that's all so far, so... Losing that tower mid. Yeah. Losing the tower mid means that Slark can move, I guess, because now that he can't defend the tower anymore. So
yeah,
he has to do it.
Slark's farm, nothing too crazy here. Just sitting on bottle, working towards the power treads, and is going to be Gloves of Haste off, and we'll have enough gold for it here pretty quickly. But I think this Slark definitely needs to stay active, as you mentioned. If he can pick up a few more kills, certainly can start bringing his team back in it. But TR, the onus is on them, I think, to make this happen and bring something back. Nubik on the Lifestealer is doing okay. He is now level 8, and on the net worth chart, he is kind of in the middle of the pack, actually behind the Crystal Maiden, which is a scary notion, but does have Phase Boots here to start things off, and will now move into the jungle to start chipping away at some of those big creeps. Speaking of the Crystal Maiden in the mid lane, going to be in some trouble as she gets telekinesed back. A Pounce will leash from the Slark, and that will make an easy kill. But again, it is going to cost them. Nothing comes for free in this world, and they will pay with their top tier 1 tower. Moonlight Shadow comes, so Sochka and Fada going to be just fine here in the mid. Actually, might be able to set something up onto PGG as he comes in very low health. He will use the cogs. Sochka does have a Chakram, thought he may throw it onto that Clockwork, but alas, not going to go for it.
Instead, Yoki. Oh,
Slark
might have overextended.
Gonna get the ultimate off, but still a lot of damage gonna come his way. Now Fada, you're gonna get telekinesis forward. Paris in a little bit of trouble here. Will be able to hop forward, and that'll be the end of the Clockwork as the Visage Familiars come in. It is gonna be the end of the Enchantress here as well, as Crystal Maiden joins the party. It looks like a Freezing Field did come about to finish off that kill. So Timber Saw in exchange for the Enchantress, as well as the Clockwork there. Still a good exchange the way of Sigma. Kind of a chaotic exchange, but... Again, 8-4, Sigma continuing their reign of dominance here, and oh my gosh, 7,500 gold lead here at the 11-minute mark. Experience graph not quite as scary, but it's a pretty sizable gold advantage. 2 towers to nil does make part of a difference here, but wow, very impressive from Sigma.
Yeah, they've got such a big advantage on all their heroes, and I really like this idea. I don't know when the last time I've seen this is, but Dragon Knight is actually going for a mechanism, and The only issue with this is that his mana pool is kind of insufficient to support it over a longer duration, but if you're making one play in which you get your stun off, your ult, your breathe fire, and your mech, you can actually do it with intel treads alone. He also has the magic wand to get some more charges, but interesting and new. I don't know if it's a new idea. I think it's been done before, but it's definitely been a very long time since I've seen that on a Dragon Knight, I believe.
Oh, up in the top, Sachka going to be in some trouble here. Will try to Timber Chain away, actually doing a fair bit of return damage, but they are going to be able to take him down. Not going to be able to get that last Timber Chain off to escape to safety. Support going to come up though. Miguel going to have a double damage rune. Is going to use the Starstorm. Now needs to be a little bit careful though. Sark and Hot Pursuit will connect with the leash. Mirana leap on cooldown and is countered by the leash. You can't leap out of it. And that will secure a kill in favor of the Slark. Now they're going to dive this tier 1 as they well should. Mad going to be in some trouble here. Going to try and stand his ground and do some counter damage to Yoki. One more tower attack. Almost enough. That regeneration going to be just too much. And he will survive. Lifestealer going to grab that kill. And that is actually going to be a 3-for-0 swing. Some much needed momentum here for our Dire team.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a good. Oh wow, they're actually not even done yet. Top Paris comes back. Timber Chain's gonna miss though.
Wow.
I think No Fear is gonna be really happy with that.
Yeah, gonna get off lucky there perhaps.
But yeah, I think Sigma can afford this. It's a 0 for 3, which of course shouldn't happen for them. But at the same time, they're still so far ahead on Golden Experience that. And especially in terms of composition, because Dragon Knight got the mechanism, they can start brute forcing towers, and I'm not sure if TR can deal simply with the amount of healing and the amount of tankability that that Sigma are dealing to the table, bringing to the table right now. Best way for them to have a chance is probably to infest the Lifestealer into the Clockwork or the Slark, and then get an initiation that way.
Yeah.
But it's a tall order right now.
Absolutely. And Lifestealer does now have Drums of Endurance, so his farm getting slightly better here. And as you mentioned, they do have some decent delivery mechanisms to try and make something work in these upcoming team fights, but that mech disparity is going to make it a little bit more difficult for TR in these upcoming team fights, as you were just talking about. Visage now, since he didn't have to go mech first, was able to grab a nice early Medallion of Courage, so that will make, well, some single target kills a little bit easier, especially for that Dragon Knight once he starts those right clicks. And Sachka just
in
going
trouble.
for, oh, yes he is. That arrow going to connect as well. That's a dead Clockwork. Moonlight Shadow going to come out to ensure the survival of Dragon Knight, or maybe the reinitiation here. Glyph going to be used, but this bottom tier 1 tower is certainly slated to fall. Frostbite going to come out on the Hellbear Smasher. Dragon Knight going to go in. And we'll see how Fada can fare here. Needs to be able to burn that mech. Is going to survive for now. Rubik is going to fall. Freezing Field from the Bucking Mag going to come out once again. That will zone out the forces of TR. And now Yoki in big trouble. Chakram going to fly. That'll be the end of the Slark. The Sacred Arrow forcing him into a path. And of course, Sachka able to capitalize. A 2-for-0 exchange. And they finish off that bottom tier 1 tower. Another swing here coming in favor of Sigma. Now pushing that gold lead upwards of just about 10,000. And they could still take a fight here if they so chose. Sachka in a very aggressive position up here, hiding behind that tier 2 tower. Looks like they may just want to keep on pushing and look for a fight with a wraparound from that Timbersaw.
Yeah, this is really intelligent, and I... Oh, wow, they actually know. It looks like... Oh, maybe not. Oh, they... They're not sure about it.
I'm not
but
sure.
I really like this attempt from Sigma. This is one of the best strategies to apply in a team fight, because everyone's focus is on the front, and here he comes from the back. Eid is in a lot of trouble.
Oh,
he's actually
no.
very, very dead.
So he'll be dead before this fight even really starts. Some ports coming in. One going to get canceled. Yoki going to be the one to take it. He'll get stunned from the get-go. Going to be forced to pounce defensively. Now Nubik going to be here. He'll rage. Going to be able to make it back to the Nature's Attendants. Now Slark going to be able to burn the ulti, so he'll be safe for now. And they're going to have to retreat here. Sigma will be able to finish off this tier 2. A great play coming out from Sigma. Very crafty from Sachka on that Timbersaw, and it does work out for him. Again, going to further that gold lead now easily breaking that 10,000 mark, getting closer to 12k. Mech, Arcane Boots going to come. Are they just going to rotate into Roshan here? No. Thought they were thinking about it perhaps, but not what they want to do. Fada going to luck out and grab himself a double damage rune. So this pushing rain going to continue on. No reason for him to back up. They've got the sustain. Now they've got a double damage.
Though.
Sachka, he's going to be in trouble. He will be able to Timber Chain out. Will survive for now. Yoki going to fall instead. The crowd control comes his way. He's not going to be able to ult to safety, and down he goes. Now E going to be in trouble. Another nuke coming out from the Visage. He'll fall. Nature's Attendants come, but won't be enough to keep him alive. Fada with that double damage now just going to start destroying this tier 2 in the mid. And this has just been one long engage here from Sigma, and they still have a pretty reasonable amount of health and mana. And maybe just going to rotate top to take out the last remaining tier 2. I mean, why the hell not at this point?
Yeah, this is getting out of hand, and the problem for TR is they don't really have team fights. So The draft they made was one that revolved around getting pickoffs and moving around the map and finding ganks early on, but they lost the early game so horribly that they couldn't really get some sort of opening to start getting these pickoffs. And now at this point, I mean, what's their best teamfight ability? It's Clock, pretty much, with his cogs, but they don't have any AoE damage, they don't have any AoE control either. Whereas on Sigma's side, you've got massive AoE damage from Chakram, you've got Crystal Nova, you've got the Bird Stuns, Starstorm, Breathe Fire, single target stuns and lockdowns, and Ubik might actually be the victim of that, just barely getting away here from those bird stuns. But the problem for TR is they, to put it the way it is, they simply can't fight when Sigma goes to a tower. They have to drop it. And I think it's the same thing is going to happen even inside the base.
Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, TR don't have the best teamfight presence, and now they're all just falling so far behind in terms of items. Basically, boots are complete, and there aren't really any core items on the side of TR if you look at those inventories. I mean, Slark's got himself a bracer, if that counts as a core item, and we'll hold that thought here. As in the mid lane, some action going to come about. Moonlight Shadow comes, but there is a sentry down. Fada just tanky enough to survive it. Mad going to come in with yet another nice freezing field. That'll secure the kill onto the Clockwork. Now they're going to be able to finish off Eid as well, and it will get turned around onto the Lifestealer. Nubik going to be in some trouble here. Rage won't be up for another few seconds, and they'll be able to just track him down 3-0 in the mid lane. That Dragon Knight is just too damn tanky. 3.5k gold in the bank, but yeah, just no item progression on the Dire side. Nubik's still working towards an armlet. He does have Drums of Endurance. Enchantress has got an Urn, again, if that counts as a core item. Meanwhile, we've got a Bloodstone on the side of Sachka. We've got a Ghost Scepter. We've got now Blink on the DK to go with his mech. And looks like Visage going to be working towards an Ag Scepter, which he's pretty darn close to. He's got 3 pieces and, well, about 200 in the bank. So following Roche, he's not going to be too far off the mark to getting that third bird on the field.
Yeah. Just want to point out, take a look at the net worth.
Ooh, that's a lot of green up top.
The top 5 are Sigma.
Yeah.
The position 5 hero. Actually, Visage has less net worth than the Crystal Maiden, but regardless, they are so incredibly far ahead.
Yeah.
And yeah, at this point, it's just it's what I said before the game started. TR is one of these teams that try something out of the box, pick something crazy, play something crazy. Sometimes it works out really well, other times it doesn't. And in this game, it just didn't work. I wouldn't say the top lane was too crazy. It's pretty standard to have like Rubik, Enchantress, and Lifestealer, but the Slark pick didn't really work out for them in the mid lane, and because they lost so much momentum in the start in their own jungle, this game could just spiral out of control so fast because Enchantress couldn't be an impact in, let's say, the first 6 minutes, where she's actually generally the most impactful hero on the map. So if you take that away, suddenly not so good at picking.
Yeah, I think you're right about the Enchantress being a bit of a problem. I think Slark was okay. Of course, conceding that kill to the solo DK was unfortunate, but he sort of held his own. Yeah, in the mid, no fear in PGG. Again, trying to commit onto the Dragon Knight, and by now they should know that that's just not going to be a reality. Support comes, they turn it around. PGG going to hop on that bus back to the well once again. And, of course, that top tier 2 tower will fall. But I think Slark was okay. The biggest problem was that lack of support from the Enchantress, and Lifestealer just couldn't hold his own in that top lane. They did such a good job rotating in, making sure Lifestealer didn't have any breathing room, that he just never picked up any momentum. And Lifestealer definitely one such hero that can turn from asset to liability at kind of a few minutes turn if he doesn't get the farm that he needs to have that good early game. We'll see some initiation here in the base. The tier 3 going to take heavy damage. Eid just not having a good game on Rubik here. He's going to be 0-6-3. And with that, GG well played's come out, and I think a very appropriate timing for TR, as it was just a matter of time. Sigma with about a 20,000 gold lead, as Merlini likes to say, whenever you're at that 1k per minute lead mark, that's usually a sign that you're probably not going to be able to recover.
Yeah, this is most definitely the most one-sided game we've seen today, but I really liked what TR tried to do. It's a shame it didn't work out for them, and when you pick a lineup like this, if things don't work out early on, you don't really have too much of a recovery plan. So it's a do-or-die lineup. Kind of turned out to be die mostly this time around, but I like the idea. I like the way this could have worked out. And to be honest, if this game gets rolling for TR in the first 10 minutes, we could be looking at the reverse. Maybe not completely reverse, but at a definite advantage for them, because if these heroes get rolling, they can really take a mid game by storm. But
yeah,
didn't get the start they needed, and then it just looks like a complete stump. Basically.
Pretty classic Sigma. They pick a good laning phase, they win the laning phase, carried that momentum into the mid game, and even though it's not a drafting issue, they just have such a lead so early on that there's no shutting down that Dragon Knight. Fada gonna end 3-0-8, that tanky Dragon Knight not taking a single trip to the grave. That is our fourth match of the day here, guys. Coming up next is going to be Na'Vi facing off against Q-Pad. Again, I am Zyori. Joining me today is Cinderin. Thank you for joining us on Beyond the Summit. Starladder Season 8, Day 17 coverage resumes after a short break with Na'Vi versus the mighty Q-Pandas.